Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. And another heavyweight news mashup video today, starting with Tyson Fury, whose name has been connected to an Australian cruiserweight on the rise. Talk of a potential fight between Fury and Jai Opetaia in 2021. So media reports suggesting that a $10 million fight could be on the table for an event in Australia. And Bob Arum has actually spoken to the Sunday Telegraph about this prospective fight. So I was a little skeptical until I saw Arum's quotes, and I still am skeptical to a degree because this seems more like promotional building for Jai Opetaia as opposed to Tyson Fury, but I'll talk about that in a moment. But Arum has told the outlet it has to be, from our standpoint, a competitive major event. I don't know if he can beat Tyson, so big and talented, but this kid is very, very skillful. If he comes through, it will be a major attraction. And Arum on Tyson Fury's willingness to fight in Australia, he says he would love to come. We love to fight in different places. And Jai Opetaia is also quoted, "I'm a kid from the Central Coast. Things like this show that hard work pays off. He's the best heavyweights of our era at the moment. I'm a massive fan. Once we win the world title in the cruiserweight division, it will put me as the first mandatory for whoever the champ is there. If it happens to be him, let's do it." Those are the statements of Jai Opetaia. Cruiserweight, 19-0 out of Australia, $10 million event being talked about. And I don't know the origins of the story, but to me, this likely is the genesis of it is coming out of Australia. And then Bob Arum has commented on it, giving it more notoriety. But this does, to me, seem like a name-building exercise for Jai Opetaia, a cruiserweight on the rise. And would Tyson Fury really fight Jai Opetaia? I'm not so sure. Even if he won a cruiserweight title, I think we'd have to see him at heavyweight and establishing himself. And that's not to take away from his talent level, because clearly he's a good fighter. But Fury is looking for the big fights. And £10 million, that kind of seems like that might be short money for Tyson Fury these days. I think you'd need to stump up more cash to actually get a fight with Fury over the line. But Fury himself publicly has talked about, obviously the Deontay Wilder rematch, Dillian Whyte, his WBC mandatory, that's a fight that's there for them. And obviously Anthony Joshua, if he continues to win, that could be an undisputed fight. They probably end up having two fights in all likelihood. So where does that leave Jai Opetaia? Well, I think this is more of a promotional building exercise, as I mentioned. I don't really think there's any legs in it at this point. And would Fury come down to Australia to have the event? Unlikely. I think it's more likely that Opetaia would have to travel to him. What do you make of it all? This seemingly has come out of nowhere. The IBF rated contender Charles Martin, who recently beat Gerald Washington in an IBF final eliminator, has told IFL TV he expects to be in a final eliminator in July. And that would likely be against a top 5 opponent. And given that Kubrat Pulev is going to be fighting Anthony Joshua, it's not him. Number 2 in their rankings is not rated. Then you have Adam Kovnarski, but he's just lost. So he is going to dip out or at least drop down. So then you have the likes of Ajit Kabial and Andy Ruiz Jr. So if there is a final eliminator, it could be one of those two guys. But with rankings still to be updated in the IBF after Adam Kovnarski's latest loss, we'll have to see where things actually end up. Charles Martin will climb. He was 11th at the time of that win over Gerald Washington, and a new update has not come out since then. The American heavyweight Jonnie Rice is reflecting on his last round loss to Dempsey McKean. The two squared off over the weekend on Australia's Gold Coast. McKean knocking out Rice in the final round, almost in the final seconds. Here's what Jonnie Rice has to say about his performance and the what next.
I am deeply heartbroken about my loss in that fight. Deeply heartbroken. Been reflecting a lot, trying to find a way to build back from this. I'm going to find a way to build back from this because I do see myself as a future world champion, and I got to find the right way to get there no matter what. I fought hard, just like I promised. I'm going to continue to fight hard. I'm going to continue to get better. I know that it's going to take a lot more, and I'm going to give a lot more.
And just a side note on that fight, so the judges' scorecards are now up on BoxRec. Two judges had it 87-84 for McKean, and the third 88-83 for McKean. And that's not really the fight that I saw. I thought heading into that final round, if you caught my post-fight review, that Rice was actually up in that fight, and a strong final round was going to be something that clinched it for him. And he did, until the last 30 seconds, have a good final round, but obviously ended up getting knocked out. But it looks like he was never going to get the decision anyway. What do you make of that if you caught the fight? Did you think it was that wide to McKean? The French heavyweight prospect Tony Yoka has expressed his frustration on social media with his March 14th fight in New York cancelled. So he is saying, Friday of March 14 cancelled. Sorry for those who had planned to make the trip and those who were waiting for me back in the ring. The decision does not come from me. As for the fight in December, I am ready and I expect only one thing is to get in the ring. Unfortunately, some things are managed by incompetents who are not aware of the importance of staying active. I don't know what to tell you, so much I'm sorry to see the prospects go up without me. Tony Yoka's statement, clearly frustrated he will not be in the ring on March the 14th. And he is meant to be joining on with Top Rank. They were down the final stretch of signing him a number of weeks ago and it's gone quiet. And that March 14th card would have been a Top Rank card. So whether they couldn't find him an opponent or they still need to iron out some things with his contract, it's unclear. But he has not officially been announced as a Top Rank fighter, but do expect that to come at some point. Michael Hunter is pushing to be on the Anthony Joshua card on June 20. So he has put a poll up on his Twitter feed asking, who do you want to see? So he says Joshua versus Pulev undercard June 20 at Tottenham Stadium, People's Choice at Eddie Hearn, #bounty. And he's listed three options, Joseph Parker, Robert Helenius and Jose Mourinho. And actually Mourinho is second there with 30% of the vote, Parker just over 50. And that was at the time I took the screenshot, just under 2,500 votes. The Uzbekistan prospect Bakhodir Jalolov has booked his place to Tokyo 2020. So see here on screen, he's celebrating a win at a tournament in Jordan. And this one here, he's saying he's holding a ticket saying you have qualified for Tokyo 2020. Bakhodir Jalolov, the 6-0 heavyweight prospect, dropped back down to the amateurs last year, won the World Championships, hot favourite to medal at the Games. He is seen as one of the favourites to take the gold. And another favourite for the gold, or at least a medal, is Australia's Justis Huni, who's also qualified for Tokyo 2020. See here on screen, he has made the cut as well. So if we do get a Bakhodir Jalolov and Justis Huni final, that would seem to be a sort of dream final for the Olympics. But knowing the draw, they'll probably end up meeting in the semi-finals or something like that. Also, you have Patrick Mailata, the New Zealand heavyweight prospect, 4-0 currently, pulled out of a fight over the weekend to fly back to New Zealand. He's going to be trying to qualify for the Games, and this is reported by multiple New Zealand media outlets. So he is hoping to get to Tokyo 2020. Another pro, Ryan Charles as well, announced a few days ago he was looking to qualify for St. Lucia. Obviously Mailata for New Zealand, and you have Bakhodir Jalolov having booked his place. What do you make of it all? Drop a comment, loud and often, hit like, hit subscribe, follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out.